Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Game Junk Podcast, episode 155, recording on Monday, June 19th, 2023. My name is Frank.
My name is Sean.
And my name is Andrew.
And today we will be discussing the Ubisoft Forward 2023, their summer showcase. A lot of people excited about this. So we put off talking about Star Wars Outlaws because we were getting gameplay, and I'm sure we'll be discussing that at length. How are you guys doing?
Doing pretty good. Thanks for asking, Frank.
Happy Father's Day to you both. It was you're both fathers. I hope you were treated well yesterday. That's why we didn't record. The festivities were in full.
It was crazy. It was a crazy day.
So you're all rested. We're good to record.
I took the kids to their first rock concert. I took them to see I Mother Earth at the Sound of Music Festival in Burlington.
Whoa.
It was a big hit. It was a big hit.
Sound
Many
already started?
What's that?
Sound of Music already started? I thought that was like
it ended. It ended mid-June.
I'm out of the loop.
Yeah, I know you are. But it was a great show.
You know why I'm out of the loop?
Because you missed the Sound of Music Festival.
No, because I'm playing video games. I'm living, breathing, eating the video game life.
You know what? That's why we're here. See, you are holding this show together. Sean and I, we're living a real life, but we need someone to keep it real with the video games. We need you, Frank.
I don't have kids, so you guys had excuses for not living the video game life on Father's Day. I didn't, so I had to play games, and I had to think about games, and I had to watch videos about games. So here we are to talk about Ubisoft Forward. Let's just get into it, shall we? Any overall thoughts from you guys before we get into the show breakdown?
I mean, we should start with the big statement of the month, which you kind of already mentioned when we were talking offline about this, Frank. But did Ubisoft win Summer Game Fest?
I think Ubisoft may have won for sure.
I mean, it's a tricky question to answer, but they definitely had the two games I was the most excited about that were newly announced, had gameplay. I mean, just that alone is pretty solid.
Well, I did mention it slightly in jest that it's the first time Ubisoft might have won the E3 like whatever we're calling this now. Do we have an official name yet? I don't want to call it Summer Game Fest because that's giving too much credit to Keighley. Do we have any thoughts? Has anyone on the internet come up with a suitable name for this 3-week window?
I haven't heard
Christmas in July, even though it's June.
Well, we'll work on it. I should have thought of that before so we could own the name. We will workshop that later. But Ubisoft may have won. And I think partly is they've improved their show by quite a degree in terms of how they handled it. I was still confusing at times. We'll get into that as we go. But they focused more on gameplay. Stuff like Just Dance and DLC announcements, they kind of pushed that to the pre-show and to the there was like a smash cut reel with just some minor updates, and they focused on big announcements, substantial stuff, and gameplay footage, and also other developers and publishers just kind of not having a lot to show. I agree with Sean. I think the two games that I wasn't aware of before this season, and they both were part of Ubisoft Forward, and I loved both. And then there's a third game that's kind of in the mix, to be honest. So we'll get there, and let's start with that.
Before you move on, I just want to say one thing I really liked about the Ubisoft Forward was that they teased a few of these games at the other showcases to basically say, hey, come and watch ours. And then they put the real meat on the plate, True. And they really showed them off. And I actually like that, almost like preconditioning us to want to see more. And then, we got to see more, and it was great.
And I believe I saw Phil Spencer in the audience.
Oh, you did.
Things are getting tight there. Waiting for that Ubisoft Plus announcement as part of Game Pass in the near future, or for a marginal cost. Get ready for that to happen at some point. That's the only thing I don't like about Ubisoft at this point, is pushing their own platform. What's their service called? I don't even know what it's called.
It's Ubiplay or Uplay Plus.
Ubiplay, yeah. And it's like they got to get away from that stuff. No one is buying their games on Steam because they're re-releasing all these games on Steam, and it's all negative comments because they're not integrating Steam achievements. People like me will not buy them. It's so easy to do. And it's just them pushing their proprietary, what do you even call it? User interface, all this stuff.
Platform.
It's gross. They got to abandon this stuff. Like, just make some good games. It's driving me crazy. But let's talk about the games themselves. The first game was Avatar: Frontiers of Pandora, and it was introduced by James Cameron. And if you've surely noticed by now, I'm saying Ubisoft as the official pronunciation.
What?
That's what Jim said. He's called it Ubisoft. So I'm assuming he did his research, and that's how it's supposed to be pronounced. It's a very controversial company name, but hey, say whatever works for you. And we have not had an update on this game in quite some time, and especially gameplay footage. I'd say I actually meant to get my Na'vi hoodie for tonight's show, and I forgot.
Oh, what a loss.
And I have to say, I think it looks good. It's not quite there for me yet, but it's basically a first-person game. I personally thought everything we'd seen in the past was third-person, or alluding to the fact that it was a third-person game. So at some point, they made the shift to first-person with some third-person gameplay when you're riding your flying creature, which I'm embarrassed to say I forgot the name of. Sean, you got it ready to go there?
Is it the Ikron?
Ikron, yes, of course.
Of course.
I will be giving you my Na'vi hoodie. You earned it.
Yes.
I don't deserve it. And it looks pretty good. Many people have said this, and this will be a theme for this entire show, for the big games anyway. And something I've said for a long time, Ubisoft basically takes the same design idea, core game systems, and applies different graphics and different cameras to all of them. And this one is basically Far Cry in a Pandora setting, and people say it reminds them of Far Cry Primal, which was not that popular. Do I have the name right? Was it called Primal?
I think so.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. And that was the only Far Cry I've ever finished beginning to end. I love Primal. So if it plays like that, I'm in. I think the environment looked great, but the animations seemed a little, they were not focusing on extended gameplay sequences, which was a little telling to me for a game that comes out in 5 months or something like that. So December 7th is the official release date. I'm like tempered expectations, excited about the game, but there are a few warning signs from what we saw. What do you guys think?
Well, I would agree with what you said. The fact that they weren't doing extended gameplay, like you said, it was mostly just quick cuts, little bits of first person shooting here and there, and then they would kind of jump to some more CG type stuff, or in-game cinematics. A little worrisome in terms of what the actual moment to moment is like.
And the third person stuff is either riding Ikrons or the horse equivalent in that world. And even then, it didn't feel like it was a camera in game that we were seeing. It was
it was cinematic.
Cinematic camera. So it's I do not have a clear picture of what the gameplay is other than snippets of first person stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Now, do we know if this is open world? Like, I assume it is. I don't know if they actually said that.
Does
everything I'm reading
make non-open world games?
Well, yeah, that's a good point, but
do
everything
that
just says first-person action adventure game. Oh, set in the open world of Pandora.
Yeah, I
Okay.
think they said that, and they had like the different biomes, or there was the one different forest with different types of Navi, and I don't know. It seemed okay. Like they captured the feeling of Pandora. Like it looked good. And when I saw the first person camera of wielding the bow and other weapons, it looked decent. Most of the technical issues from my perspective were animations on enemies and other creatures, and specifically interactions like melee and kind of scripted actions between the player and enemies when you reached into the suits and stuff like that. That looked a little rough to me. And so the gameplay, there's a lot that remains to be seen, but otherwise it's hopefully better than a licensed game should be.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely got potential. Definitely can't help but think of the Horizon games. Just kind of, there's a similar vibe between that world and Avatar. And it apparently has full online co-op too, which is kind of cool. Yeah.
That's actually not good for me. I don't like that, but
I mean, Far Cry 6, actually, the last few Far Cries, I believe, have that as well. So,
I mean, I assume it's just Far Cry 6 replacing art and like story missions and content would be
probably, yeah.
Which is not to say that's a bad thing. I think more companies should do that. I'd rather have like a game that works design wise, like tweaked for a new world and like a universe that people love, than retreading kind of boring similar ideas. So I don't know. I think that's great. I'm in for that. My only concern or my thoughts with the first person camera, it seems like a weird missed opportunity. And I like that you can kind of, because part of the movie obviously is with your Ikran forming a bond or a pair, and like they select each other. So this idea of, you know, customizing that creature to suit you, that feels pretty good to me. I feel like it's a missed opportunity to have like a single protagonist, because like when she wanted it, like it's called Avatar. Like when you want like a character that is your version of a Navi, if you were like put into the world. Now, I think the story is based on like actual Navi that like you're playing as a Navi, not someone's avatar for a Navi. So that's how they get around that, but it feels like a missed opportunity. But at least the first person camera puts you in the perspective of yourself at some point, and I think abstracts that idea or pushes it away a little bit. But if the story's good, I really won't care. But let's be honest, how good could it be? Of
course, yeah.
I mean, Jim Cameron, people shit on the Avatar story, the two of the biggest blockbuster movies of all time, highest grossing movies, and even they're not that good. So how good could the video game version of this story be? Let's get real here.
I mean, with Jimmy C's help, could be amazing.
He's not helping. He's just giving fake endorsements. We know what that guy's about.
Yeah.
That is his modus operandi these days. He loves to endorse films and content related to stuff he's created. So I'm in. I'll probably buy it unless the reviews are absolutely atrocious.
Yep.
And available on Ubisoft Plus day one. Make sure you're subscribed. Okay. Just before we move on, there was a weird like kind of template for this show that they broke a couple times. It was show a trailer, bring someone from the development team, I think almost every time the creative director to talk about the game, and then kind of wrap it up. And anytime they broke with that sequence, I got confused. And it also, they repeated a lot of stuff. So I still think there could have been a better version of the presentation, but I will say I like the fact that they're bringing out the creative leads, like the people actually directing each game, whether they're good at talking or not. Like that feels like the right person to be on the show floor for a lot of these things.
Yeah, I agree.
It's not like some person who doesn't care about it, or like you can sense they're they know about their own game. Obviously, they're directing and they're not there because they're getting money. So I think that's the way to go. I think more companies should do that, or like high level people on the team should do this stuff. Okay. Next was X Defiant, which is, let's get into another theme for me. Just generally a bit of confusion about, is some of this stuff out already? Is it sequels? Is it DLC? Is it games as a service? Is it mobile? Like, I don't think they were doing a great job of like out front saying this is a new game or this is additional content for this game. Because I'm not into the Ubiverse and I don't know everything they make. So I that's the most major criticism I have. Like, familiarize me with what I'm seeing at like just the most entry level. And then I'll make my own mind up about what I'm about to see. But I was like, always like, is this, how am I evaluating this? Is this like a mobile game I'm going to judge differently than a PlayStation 5 game or something like that? Like they're different types of things. So
this one, especially since they showed like people playing the game at the beginning.
Yeah,
so you think
esports people, right?
Yeah. Should I know what this game is? And there was a few of these games where I'm like, should I know what this game is? I don't. 100%. I feel like I should, but I don't. Happen the Capcom one also. And then they're going, so they barely talk about the game. And then they start talking about their like season stuff. And I'm like, I don't even know if this game's out yet. Like you were saying, like It says like, I was just looking at the video. It says like open session in June. I'm like, is that like a beta or is this like the game comes out then? I was totally confused. Why are you talking about season stuff already if the game's not even out yet? I like, telling people there's going to be more stuff coming is fine, but like laying it out in such detail, I don't understand the marketing behind that. It seems weird to me that
I'm a little torn because I don't like when companies like have too much reverence for their own properties, but and assume everyone loves it. But I need just a little bit of a bring me into this game first. Because I'm with you. When I saw the video, I was like, is this a Rainbow Six Siege offshoot or new mode or something? Like I didn't know what I was looking at.
Yeah, it looks, and apparently it is a free-to-play first-person arena shooter.
Yeah,
and as you said, it's not out yet, but the reactions they showed were from a closed beta, and there is an open beta happening this month, I think.
And it's a little like more confusing when they say we've done 28 beta tests so far or alpha tests. I'm like, you've done 28 tests, and this is the first I remember hearing about this game. I'm sure we've heard about it before. But yeah, I don't know. I'm a little concerned about this game, but it's free and it looked a little generic to me, but not necessarily bad. It could be okay.
Yeah, not much else to say. It's like so hard to crack the free to play thing. So I'm not sure what makes this unique, which is probably a bad sign.
Prince of Persia, The Lost Crown, which we'd seen before at the Xbox Showcase, I think. And, since then we confirmed it is a Metroid-like. I was thinking, I don't want to give away this idea, but someone should call their game a Metroid-like in their showcase instead of a Metroidvania. I'm only saying it for the context of this conversation to like go. So video game websites and stuff pick it up. Like they said Metroid-like. Well, we don't say Metroidvania here, and just get like viral traction by people debating about those two terms. There's a free idea if you're
I dropped it in my work Slack, just so you know, because Guacamelee was free on the Epic Store, and I was like, it's a Metroid-like. No one commented on it though.
You just don't like address it like I do every time. Just slide it in and let the internet do the work for you.
That's what I did. It did not get picked up though, I don't think.
Yeah. But Sean, this is a game that was made for you, in my opinion. So you got to see more. Where are you at?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I like the art style. I mean, they showed more action, I guess, than exploration. I don't know if it's more light on exploration, kind of hard to say, but yeah, I mean, I'm just, as I said before, just excited for a new Prince of Persia game, and it looks pretty solid. So yeah, I'm in.
I think it looks amazing. I love the art style. The combat looks interesting. The platforming looks amazing. When I found out it was people who worked on the Rayman games, which are kind of peak platformer of the last 10 years, and then I saw some sequences in terms of using time mechanics to move platforms and kind of have this almost rhythm-based characteristic to the platforming, which they used a lot of rhythm platforming in the Rayman games. I was completely sold. And the creatures, the bosses, that Cobra boss, and the art palette, the color palette, I absolutely love. I am 100% in on this game, and out of like the games that are coming out reasonably soon from this 3 weeks, I think it's the one I'm most excited for. I think it looks amazing.
I agree. I think after seeing this at the Xbox, I was not totally sold because it wasn't totally clear what type of game it is. But after seeing this with more gameplay, another example of them kind of, dangling the carrot and then letting you have the carrot here, like it looks really good. I think, I was kind of wondering after seeing the Xbox one, well, how are they going to like gate things and unlock stuff as you go? And they talk about that having, powers and different moves that you can upgrade to unlock. Yeah, to unlock new areas, the time mechanic stuff, and even just like, the boost jump and all that stuff that they show is all very like Metroid-like and fun. So I'm definitely in now that after seeing this trailer.
And last thing I'm going to say, I'm sure other games have done this, but I struggled to think of one. And when the main character was doing these super moves, it cut to a camera and it reminded me of like X moves and super moves in Street Fighter when it's like doing a cinematic move for some of that stuff. And I can't think of another game, 2.5D or 2D game that's done that. And it's really effective. As long as it doesn't take up too much time. That was an awesome polish idea that I would guess is inspired by Street Fighter. And I think it's really adding something to that game.
They may also not do it every time. It may be kind of like the first time you use it or something like that. And they're just showing it off here, but
yeah, I mean, part of that is just not making it annoying, right? Like Street Fighter, I don't play it that much, but I never get sick of seeing those, or the equivalent like Mortal Kombat. Recent versions kind of borrowed that with the bone breaking sequences and like not fatalities, but in match versions of that. And I don't really get sick of it there. I don't know if people who play those games a lot feel that way, but yeah, I thought it was really good.
Yeah, I think as long as you keep it snappy, like if you think of like the Final Fantasy like summons that take like 2 minutes, that's way too long, right? So as long as it stays snappy, you should be okay.
Yeah. Next, anything else to add to that one? That's probably the highlight for me. Okay. Next was Captain Laserhawk, a Blood Dragon remix anime series, which like I don't care. It was not the best presentation. But when I saw the actual footage from the show, maybe watching Akira recently, I didn't think it looked that bad. I'm probably not going to watch it, but it looked okay.
Yeah, I mean, I would be in on something in the world of Far Cry 3 Blood Dragon or like Trials of the Blood Dragon. I'm still a little unclear as to how, like, is that what this is? Or is this like mixing in other Ubisoft characters? Like,
yeah, I think the creator said it's more of a starting it in the Blood Dragon idea, but turning it into a Ubiverse type of show.
Yeah, I'm less interested in that, but it could be fun. I mean that the guy who was on stage, Adi Shankar, I think is his name. He was a little he seemed to be trying to hype things up, and people were not really
I felt like the crowd for this show was like people, like technical people who are just, invited. Maybe they work at Ubisoft, and it didn't feel like a fan environment.
Yeah.
Which, it is what it is. Next up,
hang on, were we supposed to know that guy? Because when he came out, it almost like he was waiting for applause, like, look how awesome I am, kind of thing. And it was really awkward.
Well, I think he said he worked on Castlevania for Netflix, right?
Yeah, I know, but is he like, should people know who he is? Like, I understand that show's really cool, but like, I don't know who makes the only like guy who makes like comic-y stuff is like Todd McFarlane that I know. And like, I'm not gonna know this guy.
We're old, and like I'm sure there's a sector of the youth audience that knows who that is, but it's just not us.
Okay, fair enough.
I mean, everybody knows who someone is. Some people know who we are. Who fucking cares? We're a piece of shit. Okay, next, the Division. This is where the confusion really started to set in for me. The Division Resurgence. And when I see this presented, I start thinking to myself, what is the state of the Division? I remember playing the Division 2 like 3 or 4 years back. There's people still play that, I think. Are they doing DLC? Is this a new major version of the Division? Is it DLC? I'm asking all these questions while I'm watching this trailer. And then at the end, I think it's just revealed that it's a mobile version of the Division, right?
That is correct. I believe there is a Division 3 in the works, but they did not show that.
And the Division was created by Massive, right? I believe that is now doing I think so. Studio doing Star Wars Outlaws, which we'll talk about shortly.
Oh, the other one is the Division Heartland, which is the free-to-play.
So that one has a different art style, right? Isn't it kind of like?
I think so.
Yeah, it's
definitely.
Sometimes Ubisoft like just tries to like just capitalize too much on things, and I think that they're learning to be a little more streamlined in their approach to some of this. But
this is interesting because I was watching the presentation posted on the GameSpot website, and this was not in it at all. So I don't know if it got cut out or I don't know. I don't know where it went. But the next thing on my list that I watched was the Crew Motorfest.
Oh no, you're missing some other stuff, bud.
Oh, okay.
You missed the best part of the show.
Oh, okay. Hang on, let me go catch
free
up.
Performing Skull and Bones.
Oh yeah, I missed it. There was no live performances in mine, so they obviously cut that out. Damn you, GameSpot.
Did you see this musical performance?
I didn't at the time, but in my recap thing, it's listed there. So
yeah, I mean, definitely, not my jam music wise, but felt weird to really show no gameplay and focus on a song for a game that is probably on high alert for a lot of people. So
yeah,
alert as high as it was has been heightened. This game is in trouble with a closed beta coming August 25th was the big announcement.
Right. Yeah.
Next was just a smash reel of content updates for smaller games like Brawlhalla and so like there was some more Xbox integration there with Master Chief and the Arbiter coming to that game and a few other little things which I do not remember. Anything major we need to say there, Sean? I'm looking at you.
I just see Riders Republic and Roller Champions had some DLC or something too.
Jet Grind Radio, I think.
Right.
But I will say I appreciated them just rather than bringing someone out for every one of those, just let's put it all together, kind of like an intermission in the show, and then we'll continue on. The next was the Crew Motorfest, which I would say is, I didn't play the original, The Crew, but is their version of Forza Horizon or something like that, an open world racing game where you can pilot different types of vehicles. And I think the idea with this one is it's set on Hawaii, which is an interesting location. When they showed the volcanic mountains and stuff, I was getting Motorstorm vibes and thought it could be cool, but I don't know. This is another one I was a little confused about. This is the next direct sequel, which comes out in September. And I don't know. It looks okay. Probably not a buy for me.
I must say, when I was looking at it, I think that they had kind of like the cinematics that look great, but then whenever they went in game, it looked really sparse to me. And I don't know if it was just I was nitpicking it and just picking the spots that were sparse because they were on like a volcanic, dirt or whatever. But it just seemed like there was a big contrast between the cinematics and how they wanted to present it and the actual gameplay versions. Whereas I feel playing even like Forza Horizon feels like there's more stuff in that compared to this game. But I don't know. It'll be interesting. It felt a little bit to me like they were trying to hide it. Some of maybe the scaled down, things they needed to do to make the open world run well enough.
I didn't catch the final splash screen, but I'm guessing it could be because it's also coming out on PS4 and Xbox.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe. Which
could be.
I kind of noticed that too. I thought like art style wise, there was some interesting stuff with I think there was a Japan race with like some kind of interesting art stuff going on. So I don't know if it gets like amazing reviews, if all of a sudden Ubisoft starts paying IGN to give their open world racing 10 out of 10 in game of the year, maybe I'll check it out. But until that point, I'm probably I'll be a bystander on this one.
I guess the one thing I've never played any of the Crew games, but I always thought, and I'm even just looking back here. So I think the first game was like, had kind of like this crime type story to it where you're like a criminal or like trying to infiltrate a criminal organization or something like that. And I mean, I don't know if the Crew 2 had that, but it does not seem to be present here. Like it just seems like a straight up racing game.
Yeah. I mean, if I was involved in this game, a game I mentioned before that has been absent for a long time, which had some cool stuff, was Motorstorm. Someone's got to bring Motorstorm back, or Motorstorm vibes with the huge crashes. It was boring from Burnout, and Burnout's got to come back. Like,
yeah,
Ubisoft, this is your chance. Steal from those two franchises that are not being done anymore. Okay, moving on to the jewel of the Ubisoft crown, Assassin's Creed. Right, that's their biggest franchise, I would say. They dedicated a whole thing to it last year.
Yeah.
So I was happy to have it not quite as big this time. First thing they showed was Assassin's Creed Nexus VR, which was looking a little rough. Sean, you're the visor guy. What do you say?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Didn't look that interesting to me. It's really tough. I think, just slapping a franchise on a VR game doesn't appeal to me personally. Like, you really got to be making a game that's for VR, that's doing something interesting with that format. And I mean, maybe it is. I didn't see it here.
Well, to me, the gameplay footage didn't even look real. It looked like it was like pre-animated cinematic gameplay footage approximation.
I mean, it does say CGI announcement trailer, so I believe there was no gameplay there.
That game comes out in December, so I wouldn't be surprised if they're just banking on a less informed VR market, like just a lot of casual game people have Oculus and they're not that expensive games, so they'll just, like you said, put Assassin's Creed on a VR game, people will buy it, and it'll be an absolute turd. It did not look good. It looked really bad. I mean, to be fair, you didn't even see what it was. The only reason I'm saying it's bad is because they kind of made something that isn't gameplay look like gameplay, and they were not that upfront about it.
The one thing that could work is like stealth stuff is okay in VR because, it's not, people don't get motion sickness from it. If, you slow things down, it could work, but I mean, there's not a lot to go on.
But in the footage, they were moving pretty quick. Like,
they were trying to sell it as more of an action thing.
The Blood and Truth, a game that made me vom almost after playing for 10 minutes. Like, this could be a problem. Okay. And then this was the most awkward transition of the whole show, where they're like, they didn't cap it, and it was the same person who came out and then said, we're all about bringing new modes to they moved into Assassin's Creed Project Jade, or Codename Jade, to show a little bit of an update on that. And I just thought it was I was very confused when they rolled it out. If I didn't know what that Project Jade was already, I would have been, what? What did he just say? I don't know what this is.
Yeah, I mean, like, just to show a game that is still under a code name seems like maybe a bad idea. I don't know.
I mean, they talked about it before. It's exactly what you might expect, and they did not show a lot. Like just some moves on a wall, like on a brick surface or something like that.
Yeah, and then the thing that I think is the new thing. Did they even say it was a mobile game before for phones? Did they say that before?
I think it was previously announced.
Oh, they said you can play it on mobile.
It is a mobile game. Yeah. It's an open world mobile game. Did you catch that at the end? It's like Apple and Android. That's what the stores were.
Well, now I feel even dumber and embarrassed because what's their other next major RPG? I thought this was their next
Mirage.
No. So Mirage is the scaled down throwback, non-full immersive world or immersive RPG version of Assassin's Creed. And there's another one that they didn't give updates on.
Yeah, there is another one. I'm trying to find what it's called, but it's the one that like brings together all the other games or something.
But wasn't it something with like witchcraft or?
Oh, Hex right. Okay. Yeah. Codename Hex.
Like, it is the
one. Yeah, that's the one you're talking about. There's also Codename Infinity. Back. Codename Infinity is the one that's like multiplayer and seems like it brings together older games or something.
So I was confused, and I feel less bad about Jade then because I thought it was their next big one. I was like, this looks kind of rough, but it makes sense that it's mobile now. And now I can also ignore it. Moving on. Assassin's Creed Mirage, which is a throwback version of like going back to Assassin's Creed 2, Brotherhood. I think it's an excuse to say a lower budget Assassin's Creed game, because when I heard the pitch, I was excited because I did not like the gameplay transitions to Origins and Odyssey. I know most people do. They love them. Those games are a lot of people love those games. But I was excited by the idea of going back to original Assassin's Creed, a little bit smaller, maybe the old button mashing combat. And that's what I thought this was. After seeing this version and trailer and gameplay walkthrough at the end of the show, I don't think it is. I think it's just a smaller version of their current games. Like, it's a way of taking less development time, which is not a bad thing to me. I don't need a 180 version hour of Assassin's Creed that I'm not going to finish. So I'd rather have something I can finish. And I think this game looks pretty good. I will probably buy it.
Yeah, I mean, like I said before, I still have yet to really get into an Assassin's Creed game, and I'm much more interested in some of those other games you mentioned, Frank, but I don't know, there is a part of me that thinks maybe I want to try this one. And, you know, it looked pretty good. It looked kind of fun. But yeah, definitely feels like the older kind of original Assassin's Creed games.
The jankest part was in the assassination attempt, and the character does this teleporting to like pre-targets 3 people and teleports between them. I'm like, this looks like ass.
A lot of people were complaining about that too on social media, just that they're kind of like, so he's magic now? Like, I don't know. I guess that they seem to not like that element of it, but I was like, I don't care about that. But
I mean, I know what they're trying to do. They're trying to be like the Batman games where you can quickly go between people and do a bunch of stuff that seems fluid, but not a seller for me necessarily.
Yeah, I was a little confused by this one. I thought originally it was going to be like an actual return to kind of like the Assassin's Creed 1, almost like a remake of that, or Assassin's Creed 2, because that, I believe, took place in a similar place. Weren't those in Baghdad also back in like, 1400s or whatever? So I thought they were returning back to the same area with the same people, but I guess that's not the case. Anyways, I was a little confused but I like how they've kept like the eagle as a way to, or the bird or whatever, the falcon thing, as a way to sort of like scout the area and plan your attack. I like that mechanic from the newer games. And I think that was introduced in Was Origins before Odyssey?
Yeah.
So I think that was introduced in Origins.
Yeah.
And I like how they've kind of continued that through. I think it helps with finding all the stuff, because like you were saying, Frank, there's so much shit in these games that trying to find all of it without some sort of like helpful guide is impossible.
Speaking of helpful guides, another theme of this showcase, and another reason why I don't think it's really old school Assassin's Creed, there is no mini map. It is just a compass at the top with directions. And this is also the case for Star Wars Outlaws. And I don't know where the internet or video gamers stand on this, but I am team mini map all the way. I hate just a compass at the top. I want to know where I am, what's around me. Can we please go back to mini maps?
I don't think there's been a mini map in an Assassin's Creed for a while.
Yeah, since Origins.
Yeah, okay. I thought you were saying
it's supposed to be a throwback to pre-Origins. When I didn't see a mini map, that's when my senses and my spidey sense was tingling.
Like, do you think that's a reaction to, like, I feel like Ubisoft's always been criticized for their open world stuff, that there's just like so many dots on the map and you get stressed out because there's just too much stuff to take in. Like, is that a reaction to that? Or like,
these are crowded streets like this, like it's going to be, I'm sure there's pathfinding stuff if you need to chase someone or you're trying to get to a specific location. I like the aid of a mini map. And even like games that I love, God of War, I definitely hated the compass in Bethesda games. I have flashbacks still to Fallout 3, trying to get to one location using only that, and not like when you're in the subway, completely lost, don't know where I'm supposed to go. Get real. Give me a real fucking map.
It's interesting because I actually disagree with you completely on this, only because it's an Assassin's Creed game, though, where you can climb basically anything. So really, the street layout doesn't matter. And I find, probably you do as well, that when you have that mini map, I look at it more than I look at the actual game. So without it, I actually look where I'm going and plan a route, just knowing I'm heading in roughly the right direction. And I totally agree with you about a game like Fallout. I've done the same thing. You hit a dead end, you're like, fuck, now I got to backtrack 1,000 kilometers to get to the right spot. So annoying. But in Assassin's Creed where you can climb, stuff like that, I don't have a problem with it.
Well, I have to say I completely agree with you. And I was building a counter argument, my own argument in my head while I was saying it, that, well, if you can go up anywhere, you shouldn't be limited by the streets. So good for you. You're right. I'm wrong, but I still want that goddamn mini-map. And I'll decide if I want to look at it, or give me the choice. Give me the choice. Games are about choice.
Accessibility is the term you're looking for.
No, it's just meaningful choice. Let me decide how I want to play. Either way, I think it looks okay. Not amazing by any means. And there was a lot more story focused stuff, which I obviously check out of completely. So the gameplay walkthrough looked pretty good. Finally, the game everyone is talking about. The pleasant surprise of summer game month, and basically unknown. They were said they were working on a Star Wars game, but no one knew what it was, right?
Yeah.
So this is Star Wars Outlaws, and I'm sure most people would call it Star Wars GTA or something like that. And I will get into the details, but what did you guys think of this game?
I thought it looked pretty good. I mean, I do like that it's a shooter compared to like the Jedi games where you're using a lightsaber. That appealed to me. Didn't get a good sense of like what the open world element of this is going to be like. It did show some space combat stuff, so that is there. But I assume that you fly from planet to planet, and then you have, some areas you can explore on that planet, but the open world element is probably more going from planet to planet, but I really don't know.
Yeah, I mean, that was my biggest question coming out of this is I don't think they officially said open world anywhere. I think it's a lot of assumptions that it's open world. I don't really care either way. I assume, and it would be my preference that it's a bunch of smaller open worlds on different planets, which is basically like Fallen Order Survivor, kind of does the same thing. So I'm fully on board with that decision. And when I saw them take off with the ship and go into space, I was like, oh, I thought this was all going to be on one planet. So I think for pacing and variety, that's an awesome way to go. And I also thought it looked amazing. Huck?
I thought first of all, the game looked really good, and I thought this trailer in general, or gameplay, whatever video, was amazing. And the main reason is it showed so much variety in a quick pace, didn't get boring. They're constantly switching it up. They went from, little stealth section. They showed off your companion helper, helping you solve a puzzle. Then you did some assassination type thing, I think. Then you have a little bit of a shooting session after you get discovered. Then you jump on the speeder bike. They're showing the speeder bike action. Then you have that cinematic, I think, where they're kind of doing some story stuff. Then you hop in your ship, you take off. You're now doing a space battle. You show the hyperdrive thing. Also, about the shooting mechanic, can we just put another notch in the belt that Mass Effect 1 is the best Mass Effect? This shooting mechanic is the Mass Effect 1 shooting mechanic. Guardians of the Galaxy uses the Mass Effect 1 shooting mechanic. It's not ammo based. It's number of shots over heat. It's the best. Anyways, sorry. Total tangent on why Mass Effect 1's better. But
I didn't pick up on that.
So, I mean, they have like a lot of I thought the pace was great, and they showed tons of different variety and gameplay. They showed you a whole bunch of stuff you can do, and I thought it looked really good. I thought the graphics were really great. When you get into space, I was blown away. I thought it looked really cool, and everything was interesting to me that they showed. And that open world part, how open is like a planet, I hope it's not open world. I hope that is an assumption we all made, and that there's just like those, little vignettes or dioramas on each planet that you get to play in, and then you go off somewhere else. Like, I think that's great. It's kind of like how Jedi Survivor or whatever does it. You have like this little space on a planet that you have access to, and then you move on. I think it's great.
I don't think it's going to be Survivor Fallen Order in the sense that those are pretty like those are level design planets. Like it is gated, and you're supposed to traverse those planets in a very scripted way. Except for Kobo in Survivor is an open area. It's basically a hub and spoke where each spoke is like a designed area. But I would just like smaller, manageable open world where you can go wherever you want. It's just not that big, and a bunch of different planets to go to. And I think that's perfect. I'm in 100%. And I should say when you talked about getting on the speeder, the reason why people are calling it, Grand Theft Auto Star Wars is like this huge wanted thing comes on the screen, right. And now you have to kill your wanted level. And while we're talking about that, when you fly out into space and that wanted sign, the HUD and interface elements and the typefaces capturing a Star Wars feel in a video game, it's amazing to me that two very similar games, like the Respawn ones and this one, have totally different interpretations of what makes Star Wars, and also like very similar ones. And my biggest takeaway from this was, thank God Star Wars said, you know what? Anyone can make a Star Wars game and like give it to people who know how to make games, and especially how creative, kind of like Knights of the Old Republic, people who make video games know Star Wars, they love Star Wars, and they are going to do it right. They are going to create creatures and worlds that match it better than anyone. So I everything about this is a win to me. and I'm in, and I'm with Sean. We have a Jedi version. The fact that this is more of a shooter outlaw version is a perfect, even though it's very similar to those games, it's its own in that respect. And I'm down. I'm not as convinced about some of the pillars of the game that were talked about. So one of them was, I don't know if anyone watched the post show where they had the people working on the game replay the video and they would pause it and talk about what's going on in the systems. And one of the pillars they mentioned was resourceful outlaw. And that's when it's K and Nyx. Nyx is the axolotlish type creature. And you can tell that character to hit buttons and do things in the world. And how you react in certain situations is an idea of resourcefulness and using whatever you have at your disposal to get through situations. I'm not quite sure that's going to play out in an effective manner. And if I'm being honest,
I mean,
when Kay sends Nick to get that thing that comes across, that was a classic example of I would never have thought to do that. Like, why that felt like a canned gameplay moment where when we say I don't see the gameplay, that I would never have seen that was even an option. So maybe the game teaches you that stuff, but that seemed weird to me. Sorry, Huck, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, like, another aspect of that could be when they showed like buying off the person and stuff like that, like using your money or probably some other resources you may have collected. That's like a pretty traditional role playing aspect, of the game.
Yeah, it sounds cool. I don't know how they do similar stuff in Survivor, and it feels out of place where he'll use his Jedi mind tricks in these small side quests. And I'm like, where's this coming from? Like, who gives a shit? Like, that's not part of this game. So if they do it well, it could be great. I'm not sure that it's that easy to do, but space combat looks awesome. All the creatures, planets, the effects. When there's a shootout in that hangar and the first shot has this kind of sparks explosion, that felt so much like Star Wars to me. And but not like generic Star Wars. It's got its own art style on top of it. So I think it's awesome. I think it is the best game, really AAA game out of anything that was shown these last few weeks by far. And it's the most exciting to me. Something I didn't know about that is coming out in 2024. We'll see if that happens. But we should say there's almost made a mistake. Every Ubisoft studio is working on this. Like, it is across the globe, people working on this game. So there's a lot of resources and money going into this. So I think it might just finish on time.
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting to just even think about it and compare it to Starfield, because it seems like it has a lot of the same elements, but, maybe just not as much detail. And I mean, do we need all the detail? I don't know. But just wanted to mention, it does say on the Ubisoft website, experience the first ever open world Star Wars game. And it's set between the events of Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi.
Interesting.
All right. I'm going to hold you to those words, Ubisoft website.
I must say, what I appreciate Ubisoft doing here is they also didn't, even now knowing that it's set between those two movies, they didn't put a whole bunch of pandering in here. You don't see 3PO and R2D2 and Luke and Han and whoever else. Like, it seems like its own game and people are still excited for it. You don't need those characters. Like, you don't need to see them. They don't need to be in it. And I don't know. I found it pretty compelling. And, knowing that it's set in that kind of like time section, there's going to be some interesting stuff. Obviously, there'll probably be some, Vader cameo or something like that, which will be cool. But yeah, I don't know. Pretty excited for it.
Good call. I completely agree. It didn't even occur to me. Like, hey, it looks great on its own merits. Absolutely. We got to give a little criticism. Like, that's what the show's about. Number one, out of all the people who introduced their game, this director was the best at delivering or talking about the game, but
seemed a bit cocky.
Yeah, and was like, hey, we don't let's get rid of this. Let's just get to the gameplay. And then proceeded to talk for 5 minutes. And it's like, I thought you were just saying we're getting right to the gameplay. Like, get real, dude.
I think he said, let's get the speech out of the way. So obviously they had some speech for him to say that he had to say. But
I would shorten it up. It was a little long. It's Star Wars, open world. We get it. It's 4 words that you need to describe this game. And then you can talk about the rest later. But it looks great. Last thing, maybe this was in the post show. The ship, when you leave the planet, is called the Trailblazer. And they were talking about like it's a dream of an artist to be able to design a Star Wars ship. And it was an honor to be able to design the Trailblazer. Did you see the ship? Like, it is so generic looking. It looks like a pontoon ship. Like, it's nothing.
Didn't notice it.
At least in the perspective of the camera right behind the ship in space, like, it is really underwhelming. It might be the least interesting Star Wars ship I've ever seen.
Wow. Okay.
Well, name a worse one. Name a more boring Star Wars ship, Hero.
I mean, I'm just looking at it right now.
a B-wing. A B-wing.
B-wings are fucking cool, dude.
No way.
Sean, what's cooler, a B-wing or the Trailblazer?
Probably a B-wing, but you know what it actually reminds me of? It actually has more of like a Star Trek feel to it almost.
Yeah, boring. Just kidding. I think every Star Trek ship is cooler than that one.
Wow. Ouch.
Hey,
what about that shitty one from Shadows of the Empire?
Look, I can't vouch for that. I think I like it though. But I'm going to ask you, can you watch this whole video and you watch the space combat? What does the ship look like without looking at you? Look right into the camera and tell me what the ship is.
I literally just watched it again while we were talking about it, so I have a pretty fresh memory.
Okay, never mind then. I'm obliged to point out that the Mantis in the Respawn games is one of the coolest Star Wars ships.
And also kind of resembles a B-wing.
That's why it's so cool. It's an elevated B-wing. Okay. That's all I have to say about Star Wars Outlaws, easily the most exciting game of the past year.
Also, one thing I just picked up on, the logo with the neon lights.
Oh yeah.
Kind of Fallout-esque, if you could think about it, like the same sort of like 50s vibe that Fallout is from. You know what I'm saying?
Perhaps.
Little
I got a different
nod to Starfield, maybe.
I don't know. It reminded me of Solo, the movie, if anything.
Sure.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. But I did see some people comparing it to Fallout or saying they stole some stuff from Fallout, but I can't remember what it was.
Well, it's the same sort. It's that, those neon signs were big in the time, that Fallout is supposed to take place. So I think that's.
Yeah, I could see it. I'm not saying it's like completely unfounded by any means. So.
It's just an interesting choice for a Star Wars thing because, like, how many neon lights like that are in a Star Wars game?
Yeah,
like, it's not totally fitting.
I do dig it.
Total dig at Bethesda.
I love the color of that as well. So, congrats, Ubisoft. You've finally done it. You won Summer Game Month. And we have to give our letter grades before we talk about Capcom.
I mean, these letter grades are getting real difficult because like Prince of Persia was shown at the Xbox showcase. Like, how do you judge that? I really don't know.
Quality.
You know your letter grade. Please deliver it.
I'm giving it a B-.
There we go. I knew you knew.
I'm going to give it a B+. I actually thought it was quite good. Some of the outliers take it down for me, like X Defiant and whatever that other code name Jade was, and Nexus VR.
I'm looking at the highlights. Star Wars Outlaws, huge surprise. I'm giving the credit for Prince of Persia to this show. Looked amazing. Avatar, possible pleasant surprise, and Assassin's Creed Mirage looked decent. It's a B. It's a solid B, which is enough to win this year. Congratulations. Well, we're assuming we're not even grading Capcom, right?
Yeah.
We just want to
pre-award it before Capcom.
Okay. So moving on to a very brief summary of the Capcom Showcase. Was Capcom Showcase 2023. We have to get these branding names right. The highlights, the Dragon's Dogma 2 deep dive trailer, which seemed like footage we've already seen.
I think it was just breaking down the trailer they've already shown.
Well, I guess they talked a bit about it's going to be a game that feels like co-op, but you're using AI pawns to get that feeling, which I think could be cool.
I'm not buying that.
I'm buying it more than I'm buying co-op, bud.
I mean, I guess I never played Dragon's Dogma, and this was just something that I'm not sure what makes this game special. Like theoretically, what they said about the AI, like, yeah, I can't think of any games that have really done that specifically. But aside from that, I don't know. It didn't look. The combat looked a bit slow. Maybe they're going for like an ultra realistic vibe. I'm not sure, but. Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, the lighting still looks good. We've seen most of this stuff before, but a very recent game that's extremely popular also features companions that are with you all the time, and using them and using their single abilities in game is extremely frustrating, if not capital B, brutal. So let's see if this game can figure it out, and then someone can prove, hey, this is doable. Zelda, the game that gets a 10 everywhere, and you can't decide which character you want to do something, even though there's 4 of them and 4 face buttons. Can we not figure this out? Jeez Louise. Okay. The reason why this showcase is being maligned is probably because Pragmata was delayed indefinitely. A lot of people disappointed about that announcement that I saw.
I mean, it's the only game I was kind of intrigued by. So, yeah.
Be 100% honest with me. Was Pragmata even present in your mind before the showcase started? Where you're like, oh, I hope we get an update on Pragmata. Had anyone even remembered this game?
No.
I have a note saying, don't recall hearing about it before, to be honest.
Talk about a complete fail. Reminding people that a game is delayed that no one remembers seems like a double fail. And it
might be a double fail.
A handwritten note expressing the concern and sorriness. Like, yikes.
At least if you're going to have a handwritten note, make it so no one can read it. Come on.
Crossing off 2023, crossing off 2024. Okay, we get it. Game's in trouble. A new Ace Attorney trilogy featuring the 4th, 5th, and 6th installments is coming. Huck, this seems like your kind of thing.
I've played a little bit of the Ace Attorney games. I like them. I've never really gotten deep into them though, but I would consider a library borrow for this.
The first trilogy was on sale, so I bought it. I'll never play it, but
I feel like I also have bought it on Steam. I also have not played it.
I'll say, I don't know if it's still going. At the end of the showcase, they advertised a Capcom bundle with a bunch of their greatest games on Steam. That's super cheap, and there's a lot of good games in there. It's definitely worth taking a look at, even if you have some of them, because it eliminates those from the bundle and still gives you the like group discount on all of them. Take a look, take a peek. Exoprimal got some new trailer footage and an open beta, which happened this past weekend. Anyone check out the open beta on Steam for Exoprimal?
No.
Well, I did, because I live the gaming life, and it was pretty good. It wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. If the thing that impressed me the most is the tutorial makes you try the 3 different classes, assault, tank, and the healer, whatever it is. And there was really big differences gameplay wise between the 3. The shield for the tank was pretty cool. I didn't get into actually doing any multiplayer stuff online, but I did all the tutorial stuff, and I'm intrigued. Not rushing to buy this game in July, but it was better than I thought it was.
Game Pass.
Oh, it is. I didn't know that. Okay.
And also, I must say, after seeing this, the whole like this is a training VR sim thing to upgrade your mech almost downgraded this game to me. it was the opposite of hype in my mind. I was not interested at all. I didn't understand what was going on. Like what I thought about, I knew about this game. Yeah, reverse hype train for sure. For sure.
Next, you guys love these types of games. One of you must have played the Ghost Trick demo.
Well, I played the original game. I never finished it, obviously, because I never finish games, but I did play it once upon a time. I'm kind of interested. Maybe I'll give it another shot, but like, it definitely seemed weird. Like this was their focus. It seemed like for the showcase, like a lot of times spent on it. And then I think afterwards they even did a walkthrough of the demo.
Yeah, they did. Like, that was their post-show stuff.
Like, wow.
Even though I do live the gaming life, I opted not to watch that gameplay demo. I want to be surprised when I play the game for myself.
Yeah. It's a fun game though, from what I remember.
I installed the demo. I was thinking about it.
That's pretty good.
I did not play it though.
A little more, basically the same trailer we saw before for Path of the Goddess. I still think it looks good. Nothing mind blowing, but it
says kind of cool.
It says action and strategy will be at the heart of the game. I don't know if I saw the strategy element, but I don't know if it's just like every game has some strategic decisions. So it seems like a weird thing to explicitly focus on if you're not doing strategy genre elements in it. And last, Mega Man X Dive. I don't know what this is.
X Dive Offline.
Sorry, X Dive Offline. Coming to mobile and Steam.
Yeah, I mean, talk about like I didn't know if this was a re-release of the previous game. I was very confused, but
you're going to be able to play as characters from Mega Man X that you've never been able to play as.
What was the last mainline Mega Man game? Was it 14?
14?
Or was it?
I don't know. Probably. Sounds right.
I'm pretty sure Mega Man X was Mega Man 8, and then Mega Man 11 was the last.
No, Mega Man
11. No, yeah.
Mega Man 8 was like the new 2D, right?
Yeah, so 8, 9, 10, and 11 were kind of the newer ones.
And what was the last X game? X8? I'm pretty sure.
Don't know on that. But 11 was 2018. So where's 12?
Seems like it would be an easy win.
Yeah.
It's coming. Don't worry. We'll say 2 years from now.
So do you think this is like a gotcha game, like a collect them all type?
I think
buy your gems and unlock your characters type game.
Yeah. I almost got the vibe it was almost an endless runner. Like you just move through the levels and like shoot and go through.
They did say there was 900 levels or something like that. So obviously procedurally generated. I don't think anyone's going to sit around and make 900 Mega Man bespoke levels.
Let's not go too hardcore here. We'll save it for the review.
That'll be your job.
Okay. Anything else from the Capcom showcase?
Absolutely not.
No.
Okay. No letter. I have to say, no letter grade warranted. Will not be discussed.
Hey, man, you guys, like, I mean, if you gave Xbox an F-, like, what are you going to give this? Like, I mean, that's...
Give Xbox a D-.
We gave something an F-.
Give Summer Game Fest an F+. Play it.
Okay.
No, I will give that's you know what? Fuck, you know what? You're right, Sean. We're giving it a letter grade. We watched it. We took the time to watch it. We're giving it the lowest letter grade possible, an F-.
We are.
I think this is where the F- should be. So
that was a little. I spoke for you two. I am giving it an F-.
Yeah.
We are giving it an F-.
Ron, do you agree or you?
I agree, definitely.
Okay, all right. Well,
definitely setting the bar for. I mean, is it fair to compare a Capcom showcase to Xbox or Sony? I don't know, but it's pretty bad.
It's fair.
Also, you know what? I have a problem with this showcase too. Why it deserves an F-, is you're doing a Capcom showcase, and before every trailer, you put the Capcom logo. Do you really need that extra reinforcement at a Capcom show?
And they tried to do their own version. Like everyone now puts world premiere in front of stuff. Like,
oh gosh.
But sorry, Huck, I have to stop you. I cannot allow extra minuses or plus. Capping it at 1 minus. Nice try, but I have to officiate that extra minus out of your rating. Okay, so that's new summer game month finished. We've talked about everything. So we're at 1 hour and 10 minutes. Has anyone played anything worth talking about? Or are we wrapping it up?
I can skip my stuff.
Yeah, I don't really. I mean, I've been playing Zelda, so.
Oh, I got about 20 minutes to talk about living that gaming life. I'm just kidding. I will only mention one thing, but not a lot. The Final Fantasy XVI demo I played through in its entirety. A lot of people talking about this on the Discord, not buying the hype that it's the best demo, the greatest video game demo ever. Anyone dabble in this? Huck?
No.
I did download it.
Well, I didn't even download it.
I wasn't going to play it because I didn't want to redo all this stuff, but I saw you get to continue your progress from where you left off. So it's about a 3-hour demo for me. It was amazing. I loved it. Too many cutscenes, too long. I'm hoping it's just because that's the beginning of the game, but I'm in. This might be the first modern Final Fantasy that's not a remake that I complete. The combat is simple yet satisfying. Creature designs exceptional. They have a new system where when you pause a cutscene, you can remind yourself who everyone is in it, which I was using a lot to like build the lore, because I always feel like I get lost in how much information is presented. So it allows me to consume it at my own pace. The acting in cutscenes isn't great, but what can I say? It's a video game. So I'm in. Cannot wait until Wednesday at midnight to play this game.
Well, I'll definitely play the demo this week. I probably won't buy the game right away because I got like 3 or 4 other games that are like must-play games that I want to play still. But yeah, I'll check out the demo.
Huck, is this on reservation from the library yet or what?
Oh, yeah.
All right. It's going to be good. I think it's going to be really good. Let's predict Metascore for Final Fantasy XVI.
94.
Oh. Sean?
89.
88. You both were close, but. Okay. I think that's it for this week. Thank you for listening or watching on youtube.com/GameJunk. The Discord link is on there if you want to join in and let us know what you thought of the Capcom Showcase. If you thought it was exceptional and we got it wrong, we need to know. So get on there, get on the YouTube comments, and you can talk to Sean at FilmJunk on Twitter, Andrew at MindGreedCommute, and Equilibrium Sys. And next week, we shall see. Who knows? But until then, bye-bye, and thanks for listening.